So we got whole time, right? I'm like stressing too. Whew. Thank you.
To be here and continuing our audio check. This is our sound check. Okay, that's perfect. All right. Yes, we can turn it up. Stand by. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Check 1, 2, audio check. Levels coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Good. That's what you got.
Everybody good?
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You want more? Or you good?
Malt check. 1, 2, 3. Good. Let's call it there. All right. I gotta call Susan back. You good? Come on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I want to start out by addressing the loss of life that we saw here in Minneapolis today. Any loss of life is a tragedy, and I think all of us can agree that in this situation it was preventable. I've spoken to the president today on the situation here on the ground. I also just got off the phone a little while ago with Governor Walz and spoke to him as well. I want to reiterate first with all of you the facts of what happened today. At 10:25 a.m. Central Time, Immigration and Customs Enforcement were carrying out lawful operations here in Minneapolis. Because of the adverse weather that Minneapolis has seen in recent snow, one of the vehicles became stuck and ensnared in the snow. Law enforcement were attempting to push out this vehicle, and when a mob of agitators that were harassing them all day began blocking them in, shouting at them, and impeding law enforcement operations. ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family. I encourage the American people at this point in time to pray for him, but also to pray for the deceased's family and her loved ones. Today alone in this country, there have been 4 different domestic terrorist attacks on federal officers by the ramming of vehicles. 3 of them happened here in Minneapolis. We've seen over 100 of these vehicle rammings happen in just recent weeks, and this must stop. ICE alone is facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them and an 8,000% increase in death threats against all of them. In fact, the very same officer who was attacked today had previously been dragged by an anti-ICE rioter who had rammed him with a car and drug him back in June. He sustained injuries at that time as well. And let me remind you why we're all here in this city today and why we've been here. In communities across this country and here in Minneapolis, we're just enforcing the laws that we have in this country. For years under President Biden, tens of millions of dangerous criminal illegal aliens, terrorists, and suspected terrorists were allowed to invade our country over our southern border. They were allowed to steal, to defraud, and to perpetuate violence against American citizens. Regardless of who your mayor or who your governor is, President Trump promised every single American that he would make America safe again. He promised every single American that he would work to protect them from dangerous criminals. Since Governor Walz has been in charge of Minnesota, we have seen homicides go up by over 50%. That's also during Mayor Frye's tenure as well. Since President Trump took office, Governor Walz has released over 470 violent criminals back onto the streets here in Minneapolis. He has another 680 of them still within his jurisdiction that he could give to us today to face the consequences for their crimes. Because Governor Walz and Mayor Frye refuse to protect Minnesotans, and instead they protect these criminals, that's why we are here. And we didn't just show up yesterday, we've always been here. But we're surging operations because of the dangerous situation we see in this country and because we're no longer going to allow illegal criminals to damage and harm, to kill, to sexually abuse, to proliferate drugs, and to steal American taxpayers' dollars. This state has faced unprecedented immigration fraud. It's seen unprecedented benefit fraud. Individuals were allowed to come into this country and set up fake companies and fake nonprofits and divert billions of dollars away from American citizens and those vulnerable citizens who truly needed the services from those programs. This city has burned before, and your mayor and your governor let it happen. President Trump is not going to let that happen. He and our federal law enforcement officers are here to bring peace and to bring public safety and to ensure that criminal activity is stopped and that people who perpetuate it will face consequences. Since we have been here in recent weeks, we have arrested over 1,500 criminals off of the streets. Our law enforcement has arrested murderers, known and suspected terrorists, child pedophiles, and other brutal criminals that were protected here in this city. We should all work together to protect our citizens. We should all protect the men and the women and the families who live here in Minneapolis, who live in Minnesota, and live throughout this entire country. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for focusing on the important work that our federal officers do and make sure that we're focused on the priorities of this country, and that's making sure that we're keeping people safe. With that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Secretary Noem, Mayor Frye called the claims of self-defense BS. How do you respond to that?
I say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's very clear that this individual was harassing and impeding law enforcement operations. Our officer followed his training, did exactly what he's been taught to do in that situation, and took actions to defend himself and defend his fellow law enforcement officers.
Secretary, can you expand too on the agent's injuries? The president said that he's lucky to be alive.
The officer was hit by the vehicle. She hit him. He went to the hospital. A doctor did treat him. He has been released, but he's going to spend some time with his family.
Can you clarify whether he was hit before or after the gunshot was fired?
I can't, but the FBI will continue the investigation and release more facts when it's appropriate.
Secretary Noem, has the agent been relieved of his duty, or can you give us any other insight?
No, we're following the standard protocol procedures we do in situations like this. When there's an officer involved shooting, we make sure that we get the facts and that we are getting the statements from everybody involved and make sure that investigators are handling the decisions.
Secretary Noem, have ICE operations paused because of what happened today?
No, we're still out on the streets doing our work to get dangerous criminals off of the streets of Minneapolis.
Can you give us any insight into your conversation with the governor?
You know, Tim and I have known each other for years. We served in Congress together. We both ran for governor the same year and have served as governor at the same times. So we were colleagues, and we discussed what happened here today. We have two very different viewpoints of it. I talked specifically about the fact that we have laws. They need to be enforced. He knows that I believe sanctuary policies have protected criminals and placed a priority of them over the citizens that live here, and he knows we'll continue to do our work, and I encouraged him to work with us. We've never had a cooperative arrangement with law enforcement here. Whenever we've done investigations, whenever we've done police work, when we've been doing what we can to bring people to justice for the crimes that they commit, we haven't had the cooperation of the state of Minnesota or the city police here under the mayor's direction. If you talk to any of these federal law enforcement officers, they'll say that when they call for backup in a situation, that it's hit and miss. They were grateful today that the police chief and local law enforcement showed up at the scene and helped secure it to make sure that nobody was harmed and that the FBI could do their work. But I would encourage them to work with us, that we could form a partnership that would make sure that individuals have the opportunity to have a safe Minneapolis.
Secretary Noem, will body
Over here.
Please stand behind the use of force, and will any of those use of force guidelines be altered or changed in the future?
You know, it's clearly established law that a vehicle driven by a person and used to harm someone is a deadly weapon. Deadly force is perfectly lawful when a threat is faced by a weapon. So I do believe that this officer used his training in this situation, and we'll let the FBI continue the investigation to get it resolved.
So just to be clear, the shooting happened before or after the vehicle hit the officer?
I know you keep asking that, but that doesn't mean that the FBI is going to give you an answer today. There will be an investigation. We want to make sure that it's factual. What I would ask is that as we go forward from here today, that we all remember that our job is to have peaceful discussions. I'd encourage our local law enforcement and state law enforcement to work with us. We are going to continue to operate here in Minneapolis and in the state of Minnesota to make sure we're going after dangerous criminals. One of the key focuses that we've had here is a focus on individuals who are sexual predators and are involved in child exploitation. When I was just here yesterday, we arrested individuals who were charged with criminal assault and sexual assault and people that exploited children. Why would you want to keep them on your streets? President Trump has promised to go after the worst of the worst, and that's exactly what we're doing in Minneapolis. By not working with us, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey are putting those criminals and prioritizing them over our children and our grandchildren.
Governor Walz said that he is not giving them any heads up when there is going to be.
And that's simply not true. He said that to me on the phone too, so I'll get him the documentation that he needs so that he knows that we would love to coordinate with him. He doesn't give us access to any information on criminals, let us know who he's detained, doesn't honor our detainers, and has individuals and criminals in his jurisdiction that he won't turn over us today to. Yes.
I'm sure that the officer involved today was once before raped by a vehicle. Can you explain the difference between that instance and today? Was a firearm discharged then? If not, what was the big difference?
I won't speak to that case right now, but we can get you the details and the information on that. But the facts of the matter is he's an experienced officer. He's been in situations like this before, and he certainly has been out there and followed his training today.
Given the threat of vehicle encounters, are you going to change the way things?
You know, people need to stop using their vehicles as weapons.
Are you going to change the?
This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. And I'm asking the Department of Justice to prosecute it as domestic terrorism because it's clear that it's being coordinated. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way while they go out there and try to disrupt peace and public safety. And Americans deserve better.
So can you say why they were investing in National Guard? Why the National
That hasn't been a part of the discussion. I know Governor Walz mentioned some of that earlier in his press conference, but we've got law enforcement officers here that will continue to work, and we're hopeful that the public recognizes that the work that we do every day makes America safe again.
Can you get
With that,
into the operation that was happening at 34th Portland?
we had law enforcement officers that were out there doing an enforcement action, and a vehicle got stuck in the snow, and so they had called for other people to come and help them get that vehicle out. Those officers were trying to free the vehicle when the harassment started, when the protesters were out there impeding their vehicles and preventing them from leaving the scene.
Was it at a particular home or business in that intersection?
I won't speak to that.
Can you speak to the crime that person may be committed that you were going after? And you mentioned sexual criminal. Okay. Will body camera footage be released?
I will let the FBI decide.
Were they on target today when they were in that neighborhood?
They were returning back to headquarters, I believe, to start a new operation, had just completed one.
Was it a nice?
Well, thank you. What's that?
Was it a nice vehicle that had?
I was one of the vehicles that ICE officers were using, but remember, when we operate in a task force model. So we have other federal agencies that work with us, and we're very grateful for that.
A woman in Minneapolis is dead after an ICE-involved shooting. These are live pictures from Minneapolis. There are videos, as we speak, going around social media showing what happened earlier today between protesters and ICE. We're working on bringing you those videos. You can see one of them on your screen as we speak. Basically, here's what it describes. It shows agents in a truck pulling up to a car that appears to be blocking the road. The two agents get out. They walk up to the driver's side of the car. From there, things escalate quickly. One agent touches the car and the driver starts driving backwards with the agent's hand still on the car. The driver then hits the gas while another agent appears to be standing in front of the vehicle. That agent, more in front of the car, appears to open fire as the car barrels towards him. DHS telling Fox News the officer who fired the shots had been dragged by a car last June in Minneapolis. We've since learned the driver of the car who was shot was a 37-year-old woman. She was killed. President Trump has weighed in just the last 30 minutes. He wrote, "I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. It is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. The situation is being studied in its entirety. But the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate." Now, not long after the incident, just a few hours ago, we saw chaos already beginning between law enforcement and rioters on the streets of Minneapolis. Watch.
Kill someone else!
Get out of the way! Get out! Press! Get out the way! Get out the way of the truck!
Tense in a city that not even 6 years ago was destroyed by political tension, by lawlessness, by agitators. And on that note, not long after that moment you saw on your screen, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey held a news conference where he basically begged for this to be 2026 George Floyd.
I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Trust me, I have a lot to say about Mayor Jacob Frey and how he's handling what's happening in Minneapolis. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But just in the last few minutes, Democrat Minnesota Governor Tim Walz also found a podium.
I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops.
Weird line. Our National Guard troops in Minnesota, seemingly pitting them against the United States of America. First, though, I want to go to Fox News correspondent Mike Tobin, who's on the scene in Minneapolis. He's been there all afternoon, where there are a lot of protesters and law enforcement officials on the scene. What's happening right now, Mike?
ICE-related shooting. This now, the first time that we're really hearing some more details from law enforcement.
Yeah, we know that the call was made maybe about 10 o'clock this morning, so just about 3 hours or so ago. In that press conference, we did get some more information about this woman who was, we know, at this point shot and killed by ICE agents. We have learned that she is a 37-year-old white woman. She appeared to be in the vehicle alone, is what the police chief said. But the spouse has made it to the hospital, but we probably should take you back just a little bit about just some of the chain of events that have happened now that we have some of that information confirmed.
And interestingly, we really still haven't learned what the initial call was, why ICE was there in the first place, who they may have been looking for. But we know that while ICE agents were there, according to Mayor Fry, there were about a dozen or so plus agents there, and that, you know, we've seen there's some video out there. We're actually going to be showing it to you here shortly, so you can see for yourself. But in the course of of them looking for somebody, people started to gather, crowd started to gather, more law enforcement shows up, and I'm not exactly sure at what point the incident happened with the woman in the vehicle, but we know that there was a woman in the vehicle, and according to again, you'll see the video for yourself and you can kind of watch. There are two narratives here, one from the Trump administration, which we'll read to you in a second, and then one we just heard from local law enforcement. Okay, and Ryan's telling me that we are actually ready to show the video. So before we layer too much context here, why don't we just let you watch this? But we're going to do this in a very sort of deliberate way. Let people know that this is video we're showing for the first time. You're not going to see it a lot on our air because we want to make sure that when we're showing it, we're doing it with a purpose. So there's no audio here as well, and you're going to see this sort of play out. So just a warning to those who may not want to see this. You can see the vehicle there. That's law enforcement pulling up in the pickup.
And it is the Honda Pilot that we should be focused on here. It's about a purplish, reddish color here. So let's take a look.
Agent walking up. And then there's another agent. I don't know if you can see that one right there.
Yeah, three agents involved. One was kind of closer to the front of the vehicle. The other kind of pulled on that driver's side door handle.
So again, there's no audio here. We don't know what's being said. We don't know really anything else about this woman, other than we know that she was not the target of the initial investigation. That was confirmed by the police chief. But there are some other angles of this as well that are being looked at. So that's kind of one pass of the video. And again, right. Okay, thanks for letting us know. Sorry. So there is some audio to this, and if you go online, you can see. So now you can see the vehicle is crashed, and according to law enforcement here in the Twin Cities, that woman was shot, and then the vehicle drove into the snow there, as you can see. So this is kind of the aftermath right now. This video is turned the other way. We want to just show you what's happening. We didn't have a lot on the front end of this, and every time we show video, we kind of like to show prior the incident and then as much after. But this is what we have, so we wanted to show it to you in full.
And this is also the first time that we are seeing this as well. So we're kind of just watching this together along with you. But as you can see there, you see all these houses and these homes along Portland Avenue. We know that this is a residential area. So again, we don't know much about this woman, just that she's 37 years old. We don't know if she was an observer, because that's the thing too. So a lot of these ICE agents were out there, and they say observers were out there as well. These are people that are just documenting what is going on. And so we know from the police chief's perspective, he just says that he knows that she was a woman that was in her car and she was blocking the road. And that's about all the information that we know.
Okay, right. You let me know when this is played out completely or how close we are. there's a couple minutes left because I just wanted to also read, because we haven't had a chance to do this, the statement from Christy Noem, the Department of Homeland Security, if I could as well. Do you want me to do that right now, Ryan, or do you want me to wait just a minute? Okay. Okay, so let's just watch this for a moment. Again, this is the aftermath.
Jesus Christ. Stay back behind the line.
No! Just back up! Just back up! We are on the guys, you're in the middle of a crime scene.
We all massive spaces. Come on, show
Flying by and I'm like, something's happening over here. So.
And what did you see exactly yourself?
I didn't witness, but I talked to several people that witnessed it, and they heard the gunshot. And the one guy said that they reached for her door handle, and then she took off, and then he shot her through the windshield.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood! What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Fucking sus. Get the fuck out of our neighborhood. What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck? Fucking sus. Dude, you did a murder for what?
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my fucking God! What the fuck?
for what?